Hi guys, and welcome to Rambling on RV. We're glad you joined us. You're probably wondering what's happening. Well, I'll tell you what's happening. You know we got a new rig, right? Our beautiful River Stone, which of course makes us stoners. And very happy to have that. Donna's running the camera today, but one of the things you want to do when you get a new RV, and we've talked about this before, is you want to take it someplace close to home and do what's called a shakedown. You want to check all the systems and make sure everything's working, and it's just as important to do that with a brand new one as it is to do that with a used one. So we brought this RV to Oasis, and Oasis RV Resort is right here in Las Vegas. It's about 30 minutes from our house, but it's still close enough to be close to home. You probably know I had my gallbladder taken out on Tuesday of this week, and we thought, you know what a cool thing to do is take our RV, park it before the surgery, come back here, stay in it while I recover from the surgery, and then we could shake it down too. And the good news is the surgery was laparoscopic. I think I've mentioned that before. And while I can't move as quickly and as agile as normal, I certainly can get around a little bit. And what's really good, Donna has been wanting to learn all of the setup and breakdown stuff that I do outside. This is a good chance for her to learn that, because I basically get to stand in the background and shout orders at her, right, Donna?
You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars.
Yes, and you've gotten very good at shouting orders at me.
No, and in all seriousness, well, I know I have, but in all seriousness, Donna's done a great job. She's wrangled the 3 dogs this whole trip. She has taken them for their walks, taken them to the dog park. She's prepared food for us and grabbed me stuff to drink, because it's tricky. It's not hard. It's tricky to get up. I recommend this, by the way, this what's it called?
Laparoscopic.
Laparoscopic surgery. If you can have that in replace of a regular surgery, I think this is the way to go. I've never had a regular surgery, but I've watched Donna go through that, and this is not that hard of a deal. You just feel some pulling and tugging. Anyway, so we are very happy to be here. We're very happy that you joined us, and stay tuned. We got a lot more to show you.
Well, it's been an adventure. We've been having a few little difficulties with the new RV, and one of them was we ran out of propane. Well, I should say when we got here, we had no propane. And so we couldn't quite figure out what the issue was, because clearly when we picked it up, everything was working, including the stove. So we know we had propane, right? So we had to call a mobile propane guy, and he came out this morning, and there were leaks in both of our old hoses. So this is the hose that connects to the propane tank and then to the regulator, correct? Did I have that right? And the hose itself here at this point was cracked, and he sprayed a little soapy water on it, and it bubbled up, and that's what tells you where the leak is and that there's a leak. So I am learning to replace these hoses. So I went and got new hoses. These are adapters that reduce the flow of the propane. So to use pipe tape on the adapter first, and then we're going to use it when we go over there. So Carl has helped me understand that you wrap the pipe tape in the direction that you're putting the new bolt on, so that it doesn't unravel when you screw it on. So I'm going to go in the direction of the I'm not quite sure. I guess I just wrap this around here, and you pull tight, right?
Kind of tight. You don't have to
Kind of tight. Okay.
get too crazy.
And once around good? You just want
Once or
to
twice. You want to.
cover
You
all
can't
this
really
in?
have. Well, you can have too much, but you're better off to have too much than not enough.
Okay, and then pull it that way. Okay.
Perfect.
And now I'm going to put this on here.
Yep. You're going to start it.
I'm not sure which way it's going to start.
Nope.
The other way?
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Okay.
Okay, and you're going with the direction of the tape, so as you can see, the tape's not trying to mess with you.
Right. And this one doesn't fit.
Okay, so what are you doing now, Donna?
I'm holding one tight while I use the other one to screw it on.
Yes.
I think it would be easier if it was attached to
You're
something.
actually bolting it on, but okay. Here, let me do that for you. Let me hold it.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you got it. How tight does it need to be? Okay, so we got the propane hoses on. The new fittings are on. And now hopefully we will have hot water, because when we got here the first night, no hot water.
Okay, and what did we do to check those fittings, Donna?
Oh, a little soapy water, a couple of squirts of Dawn dish soap in some water, and you pour it over the hose connections, and if it bubbles, that means that there's air coming out because it's creating the bubbles. So if there's no bubbles coming out, then you know you've got a tight fitting. It took us several tries, right?
Yeah, we had to keep tightening, and that's okay, because that's what the testing is all about.
Right, right. And if you have a spray bottle, that works better. I didn't have a spray bottle, so I just put a little in a cup, and that seems
Yeah,
to
and you
okay.
had a really good mixture too. It bubbled. Sometimes if you get too much soap or too little soap, it won't give you a good bubble. You got just the right amount, so that was good.
And so now Carl's going to show you how to turn the Aqua hot water tank on now that we have propane.
So hi guys, so a couple things. I keep alluding to this surgery I had. It was laparoscopic, and I got to tell you, it's the way to go, man. They make 4 very small incisions, and this is the next day. I had it yesterday, and I'm very tired, and it's probably from the anesthetic, and I didn't sleep that well. I have a sore throat because they intubate you, but overall, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm alternating Tylenol and prescription strength ibuprofen every 6 hours. I do one and then the other as per my doctor's instructions. And that's my pain management. And other than not being able to sleep, because it's just uncomfortable enough that it makes it hard for me to fall asleep. But other than that, I gotta tell you, no complications. He went in, did his thing, came out. It was robotic. And I can't rave enough about this procedure. Never really had I have never had surgery before in my life, so I have nothing to weigh it up against. But I got to tell you, it's the way to go. But you know, it's a little tender. You got to move a little careful. Coughing is no fun, but it's not as bad as it can be. That's for sure. So I'm very happy about that. So in here, we have our Truma. I don't know if you can see it. We have our Truma control knob right there. And there are several settings. Let me run you through those. One is an eco setting, which means the hot water on demand comes on as you turn it on, and that can work well in most climates. But if you're in a winter area, you would have it on the next setting down, which it keeps the tank at a constant temperature. It also uses more propane to do that. So for today, it's like supposed to get 65. We'll use the eco setting. It takes a moment. You gotta let the water run a second, but it saves you propane, fills up your gray tank quicker. But anyway, and then down here, I forget what that one's for. There is that one, and then there's a clean button that it has to go through. And if you hit clean, it goes through a whole cycle of cleaning it. And I recommend that you not hit that unless you're ready to clean it. They only say on their website that you have to clean it once a year. So I probably will use that very limited. I tend to overdo stuff like that though, so I'll probably do it more often than once a year. But anyway, it's pretty cool, right? And so now I'm going to turn it on. Actually, to get us started, Donna, I think I'm gonna turn it on the always on setting, let it heat up that tank, and then I'll turn it to the eco setting. Nothing told me to do that. That's just me trying to be smarter than the manufacturer. So, and I do that way too much and way too often. So that's what we'll do though for right now. We'll leave it set in the always on position.
Is there anything outside you need to do? Will the pilot
I'm
need
sorry,
relit?
that's a good question. Outside, there's a power on and off button at the unit.
you need to make sure that that is on as well. It's a toggle switch. It'll go up, it'll go down. Either version puts you into power on mode, and then in the middle is off. So you need to make sure that that's on. And so we're going to let this go for a moment. We're going to see if it heats up, and we'll come back to you and let you know what it's doing.
I was just curious, since we ran out of propane, will there be a pilot that would need reigniting?
No pilot. It's got autopilot, but it'll probably take it a moment to feel like it's getting enough propane, because our system was completely depleted of propane. It took a minute for me to get the stove working. And once it did, it fired right up. But it might take this a second to figure out that it's getting a propane feed. Either way, we'll wait and see what it does, and we'll be right back with you.
Hey, we're at Oasis, Las Vegas Resort, and it's a beautiful park. It's huge. Like, it feels very accommodating. There's a lot of amenities. There's a pool with a beachfront entry, hot tubs, shower, laundry facilities. It's got a putt-putt, a bocce ball, I forget how you say that. It's got a really nice dog run out front, and there's also 2 smaller dog runs, off-leash runs here in the park, which are really nice. And I mean, it's a little crowded. The trees are kind of sparse, but overall very quiet last night. I didn't hear a sound, and everybody's pretty friendly. But as you can look around, you can kind of see, we really enjoyed it. We really like it. I think if you're coming to Vegas, it's a good place to stay. It's a good option for you. It's about $60 a night for the full R-size pull-through with all the hookups. I think they have some other spots that are probably not as expensive, but yeah, well worth it. We've enjoyed our stay. We've been here almost a week. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Hey guys, Carl and Donna here.
Hey, y'all.
We are taking the Stoner, that's their new name for our new RV. We're taking our Stoner back to storage, and we got a new spot at the storage unit.
Wait a minute, why Stoner?
It's a Riverstone Legacy.
Riverstone.
Yeah, it's the Stoner.
Okay, because I didn't want people to think that our RV was on drugs, although she acted a little bit like it this weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely a shakedown trip, and I can't recommend enough, you guys, to do it local. Take it somewhere close by your home if you can, and make sure everything's working right. We did get a used one, as you know, but there's still, even though hopefully they got a lot of the kinks worked out of it, right? There's our own kinks, right?
Well, and it's used, so there could be some quirks because it was used. So either way, when you get a new one, new to you or new overall, take it somewhere and shake it down, because you're going to find some stuff.
Yeah, and it was just, like the hot water tank didn't work, and we figured out we were out of propane, and Carl's thought was, well, they didn't fill the tanks, and my thought was, oh, I'm sure they filled the tanks, so we must have a leak
at the dealership.
Yeah.
I thought that they just didn't fill them.
Yeah, so when the mobile propane guy came out and filled our tanks, squirted a little soapy water on all the connections, and both of the connecting hoses were leaking. It was an easy fix. We went and got new hoses and put them on, and finally, after 4 days, we had hot water. So that was an issue, and then a couple of the other things. We have a male dog who decided that the RV didn't quite smell enough like him, so he had to mark a few territories, one of them being the middle of the bed.
The absolute middle of our bed.
Middle of the bed, brand new comforter, white comforter that I bought, and Carl put his hand right in the middle of it.
I didn't know it was there, and here's the deal. It had formed not to get too graphic, it had formed a puddle, which meant, the good news is, it did not leak through that comforter. And so
we folded it up real quick, and it didn't soak through, so we still had blankets for that night. But yeah, then finding that size comforter isn't going to work in those little RV washing machines. I went down to the RV laundromat their washing machines weren't big enough either, so I packed it into a big trash bag to bring home and wash.
But that was a first, like that was the only time he did it, was the first night. He did it in a couple of places. The biggest and worst one was in the middle of the comforter, because that was a full bladder full of pee. But he didn't do it again, so he's got it smelling the way he wants it to smell.
Yeah. And then what were some other things? Oh, so we've got all these remotes. There's 3 TVs and 2 fireplaces, and they all have remote controls, and none of them, all of the batteries are dead in all of them. And of course I didn't have whatever size battery we needed for whatever remote we were trying to make work, so then we couldn't get the TVs going. And you know, you don't know where all the light switches are. You come in and it's dark, you don't know where you're feeling the walls. I mean, it just dips, you know. It's a dip. And you know, he had just had surgery and he was very stressed, so you know, he wasn't in a mood, and that doesn't help anything, you know, when you're on edge, or when you're stressed, or when things are going on, and then there's other things that are going on as well. It just makes it a pretty good.
It gets a little rough. It got intense, and then you know what? Then it got better, and it's what. Here's a couple of things we know for sure. We love that RV.
Yeah.
We made the right decision. It's going to be easy to live in full time when we go full time. It's very pretty. I'm sure you've seen it, right? And I think there's always going to be little repairs and little kinks along the way. Things you're going to have to do. We joke about we never go on an RV trip without hitting at least one Camping World, and and it's just part of the whole process. Is you've always got something around your RV that needs to be tweaked or repaired.
Right, but don't let it ruin the whole weekend.
No.
Like the moment, you know, get past it, move on, and enjoy the rest of the time. Don't let it ruin your trip, right?
That's right.
So listen, that's our word of advice for today. And sorry about the bumpy ride. We're talking about getting, you know, what are the airbags in the truck?
Yeah.
It definitely rides smoother when the trailer's attached, but yeah, these big trucks are just.
It's not the best video
just rough
experience.
ride, right?